When asked about his inspiration for writing, Ray Bradbury said, "I like to watch people. Sometimes I ride the subway all day and just look at them and listen to them. I just want to figure out who they are, what they are, and where they're going." In poetry and in song, the New York subway has been romanticized for its great diversity and all the aspects of life you can see by just taking one trip up and down the line. As I boarded the subway that took me from the Upper East Side to Lower Manhattan, there were so many sights and smells to take in. I could hear a conversation being held in Arabic, a Buddhist monk, an advertisement in Chinese, and a Hasidic Jew. I, being born and raised in Oklahoma, was amazed at the diversity that the average New Yorker was exposed to every day. In recent years, a push has been made to adopt English as the official language of the United States. Adopting any language as the United States' official language betrays the ideals under which the nation was founded, and mainly our identity as an immigrant nation. And the contradiction in national language would apply to our country. I've done a lot of research on this topic. I've debated this in formal settings, and I've gathered some great sources which I hope to persuade you to see my point of view. Just like any family, it's important that America looks to its past in order to make important decisions about its future. Max Dupree, a very famous businessman and author, once said, "We need to give each other space to grow, to be ourselves, to exercise our diversity. We need to give each other space so that we may both give and receive such beautiful things such as ideas, openness, dignity, joy, healing, and inclusion." For years, America has been seen as that safe space to grow, where so many cultures can come together while still being a part of one overarching family. America is commonly referred to as the melting pot of the world. Studies by migrationpolicy.org, which is the overarching authority on immigration statistics, conclude that in 2015, 13.5% of total U.S. population were immigrants. This means most likely these people left from a life away from the United States in order to live a new life here. Research orchestrated by the Census Bureau in 2011 concluded that 21% of United States citizens speak a language other than English at home. Doing so gives these people the ability to remember their culture and heritage left in another country. To name English as the national language of the United States of America is to completely discount the cultures and customs of people who do so much for modern society. The fact of the matter is that the vast majority of American citizens can trace their roots to a country other than the United States. To adopt English as a national language discredits some cultures while glorifying some, which is unfair and at its core, unconstitutional. Which leads me to my next point. The monumental Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a giant leap in the correct direction for the United States. This impactful bill, as defined by the U.S. Archives, quote, made it impossible for one to be discriminated against due to race, religion, color, sex, or natural origin. However, the argument that English as the national language goes backwards on what was an incredible movement of progress. This would make the situation so much harder for an immigrant who is weak in English to get a job, no matter how much qualified they are, than an English-speaking candidate. On this map here, we can see the average, as of right now, the most common job held by immigrants in every state. And as you can see, none of which are fantastic higher-end jobs. And as it is, it's hard enough right now for immigrants to get a job in the United States. To adopt English would only be to make that harder. To herald English in a higher regard than any other of the hundreds of languages that are spoken on U.S. soil is essentially discriminating against them, which is unlawful based on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The U.S. Archives also said that there was over 250 languages spoken in one country, which makes us the most linguistic diverse nation on the face of the planet. The United States government has the responsibility to work for the betterment of all United States citizens, not just ones who happen to speak English. One of the common arguments for using English as the national language is that it would help the assimilation of immigrants into everyday society. However, this is not the case, and as the importance of heralding one's roots cannot be stressed enough. In many viewpoints, there is no American culture. Instead, there are unique combinations of different global cultures in different areas of the country. For example, the Bay Area in Northern California. In San Francisco, it's heavily influenced by the Asian American immigrants that came over during the 19th and 20th century. However, across the Bay in Oakland, there's a heavy emphasis on the African American culture, because of the high African American population that lives there. This is Chinatown in San Francisco, and this is the National African American Heritage Museum in Oakland. However, compare that to Miami. Miami is heavily influenced by the large Latino population and the immigrant population who migrated there. There is no uniform American culture. So how can being forced to learn English help assimilate an immigrant into one? The influx of cultures and customs have meshed in today's America in a beautiful progress, which is still undergoing today. It's important that the government continue to encourage this cultural blossoming in order to show respect for all citizens, no matter what their country of origin or original language. One should not be treated differently purely because of where they were born and what language they spoke, and it's in fact illegal. English should not be adopted as the United States national language because it betrays our identity as a meshing of cultures and contradicts the Civil Rights Act of 1964. If we can continue to add to the melting pot that is America, we will be led into a new era of hope and prosperity. Thank you.